Let's welcome back to another episode of 217 South Mills.
Brought to you by Cabin Coffee Altoona, located at 2922 Meadowlark Lane in Altoona, Wisconsin.
And Pizza Del Rey, the best pizza around, located at 911 North Hastings Way in Eau Claire. Well, Joe, we've had a lot of sports going on. We've been away for a minute. We got a lot to cover today, and we're doing the Olympics. A lot of exciting things with the Olympics, but I think our favorite thing was the marksmanship, the shooter, or the Turkish shooter.
Yes.
AKA possibly the assassin.
Possibly the assassin, and being a former law enforcement and handling a pistol frequently and being a SWAT operator, I really enjoyed watching him shoot. I thought it was great.
But I sort of took him, the way he shot would have been like you practicing in like shorts, flip-flops, and a T-shirt and showing up to work that same way. This guy got upset that he had to wear the turkey T-shirt for his uniform. I heard he wanted to wear the same polo that he shoots in every day. I got a big kick out of that.
Well, let me ask you this, Bill. When you were in college, did you get dressed the same way for practice and for games?
No, but at the same time, too, I knew we had to put uniforms on.
I understand that. But, however, if you were able to practice or wear your practice stuff that you wore every day, I understand this better than most people because I got dressed the same way in football.
Yep.
I packed my stuff the same way. My SWAT bag was the same way. Everything I did every day was put on the exact same way, so I knew I never forgot anything.
So first off, don't be banging that table like that.
I'm going to bang the table.
Second off, but it's not just the uniform. It was also he didn't wear the traditional eyewear that everybody else wore. Everybody else had that patch over one eye so they could see the target better. He didn't do that. Right. That'd be like us being like, well, I don't feel comfortable wearing shoulder pads. I don't want to wear them today. And everybody else is wearing shoulder pads. It was just, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It just was like, holy cow. And then some of the rumors coming out about it is that he might have been an assassin and took second place on purpose just to not have anybody know.
I think it was a good idea. I'm glad he performed as well as he did. The casual, nonchalant way.
I loved it.
The way that he performed, I thought was hilarious, and it was very entertaining to watch.
Outside of USA, he was my hero of the Olympics.
I agree.
The other funny thing with our Turkish shooter was I don't even think he wanted to go when he was first asked. I heard a story that once he found out there was childcare there, he looked at it like a vacation. So he took his wife, took his kids. They had somebody watching the kids. He got to entertain his wife a little bit, and he had fun. But yes, it was mind-blowing just watching that whole thing unfold. And, just like another day at the park for him.
And not only that, watching the other competitors wear those full leather suits like they're riding a sport bike, like full leather jacket, full leather thing. I'm going, first of all, how uncomfortable is that?
Absolutely.
And number two, he walks up there just
looks like he just came from the beach, came in. He's like, I better put pants on. And, I got to wear the turkey shirt. That was wild. Our my second favorite that I got a kick out of laugh from the Olympics house. Not that I laughed at any Olympics, but any funny moments in the Olympics was the Australian breakdancer. Yeah, I think everybody's seen her now on social media, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter. She's all over the place. Here's my question: yes, it was humorous. Mm-hmm. Do I feel bad? She's getting backlash. A little bit, but at the same time, too, I question because you see, and what I think Americans didn't really see because we saw so much on social media were the actual breakdancers that won awards, the other competitors. How did this girl make it to the Olympics for Australia? Now, her coach came out trying to defend her, saying, well, she's the best breakdancer we have in Australia, and everybody needs to knock it off with getting on her. I don't know.
I honestly think, Bill, that you should go over to Australia and you should try out to be you should try breakdancing because I think it's very similar.
I think I can make the team in Australia.
I think you would be a front runner.
I got a little rhythm in me.
You got a little rhythm to me, and I don't. As far as the spinning goes, I think the way that you're designed, you could probably spin pretty fast too. I'm just saying,
Well, maybe we could do like the team breakdancing, and when I go on my back and like curl up, you spin me, and every time my knees come around.
Or how about synchronized breakdancing?
Maybe synchronized breakdancing, but we do it to like a Sinatra with a little background beat in it.
Maybe.
Just to change it up a little.
They have to do mop duty on the floor, though, in between.
they would have to clean up the sweat or have the AC on high and the fans kicking on high. But
you have wet floor signs around us as we're dancing.
All right. So one of the other stories that came out of the Olympics, USA wins gold in soccer.
Yeah.
And I thought for a second, I was like, all this talk about soccer over the years, and it was that Megan purple-haired Rapinoe, and all she was worried about was sexuality and taking knees.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've learned over the last 4 or 5 years that when you go woke, you go broke, and we won gold without her. Mm-hmm. She was more worried about that whole wokeism than succeeding in her career. And shame on her for possible medals that she could have screwed the other Olympians out of. And I think we all realize now, you see NCAA is taking scholarships away from players that kneel.
Right.
This should have been nipped in the bud day one.
And I agree. And let me ask you this. In our playing days with Coach Alvarez or Coach Hubes, do you think a distraction like that would be even a second of a thought?
Joe, you know as well as I, if we were even coached up by veteran players at Wisconsin, do not look for your mom and dad in the stands. Correct. When we weren't even playing in the game.
When we were redshirted.
Redshirted. Yes, we have a uniform on, but we know we're not going in because it's a red shirt here. Yep. We're not going in for one snap, and they're like, do not get caught turning around in the stands until the game's over. Once the game's over, then you could wave, smile, get a picture, but we couldn't do something simple as that, taking a knee. And rightfully so, in college, they went so long. When we were playing, we weren't on the field for the national anthem. Right. I don't even think in bowl games we were on the field for a national anthem. And it was the right way. Give the team more time in the locker room to prepare. Right. 2, there's no reason for that. No reason for any type of disrespect during that 2.5 to 3.5 minutes for that national anthem.
And I agree. And again, talk about being I thought you were a team captain and a team player.
Exactly.
You're not.
Act like one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like I said, I have zero tolerance and zero patience for it.
Well, and I think it's proving in our country that stuff needs to stop. And when it does stop, they win gold. Wow. Now, granted, it's slightly a different team, mind you, but you got the crazy person off the team. Everybody else is focused on soccer and focused on winning, not focused on distractions and things that don't matter to the sport.
So, or maybe when the team captain puts the team first instead of their own agenda.
Very true.
That's groundbreaking.
All right, now the craziness that I never heard before with the Olympics and the Olympic Village. You always hear positive things. I remember, when I was a young kid, you'd see on the morning news or the nightly news like how awesome the Olympic Village looks, or just all the benefits that they built up, because they usually build it from the ground up for the Olympics. And the first thing we got is the food. That the food is horrible. No AC. Can you imagine? Right there, I'd be like, I ain't going.
Yeah.
Olympics are so special, but I'm not going.
Is there a Motel 6 somewhere over here? I mean, I'm sure they have AC somewhere.
Exactly. Just crazy. So, and food. You have the best athletes in the world. Yeah. And there were stories that they were low on chicken, low on eggs.
They were flying in their own chefs from other countries to prepare meals for. I mean, although me and Bill don't look like we were athletes in the day, like you had to feed the machine, and you had to keep putting stuff into it that was healthy. I mean, because now you're at this level and you're competing about the best people in the world. And you're going to tell me, what are you serving these people or not? Like,
absolutely. And back to the best people in the world. Like, we've watched some of the Olympics together, and even with your wife, who was a gymnast in her past. And the special thing about the Olympics is now there's sports like basketball where me and you could say, oh, we could play basketball. We're nowhere near an Olympian or good at basketball, but we could play it. But we watch gymnastics. I know in the Winter Olympics, like figure skating, there's so many sports that a normal person can't even attempt to do.
Right.
And it's just amazing watching it and learning it. And then you're going to put those athletes through these tough conditions. It's just senseless.
I agree with you. I don't know how you expect them on that level to perform and to do their best and to represent their country. Why isn't the Olympic Committee in charge of this, that are the overseers of everything? I mean, if you are going to bid to have the Olympics and host it, you better have your crap together.
Yeah. Well, here's another thing, too, talking about the Olympic Committee, is back to Megan Purple Hair. The Olympic Committee had to make a decision on another woke thing in the world. Is a boy a boy or is a girl, and can boys do sports against girls.
And that was the boxer, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the Olympic Committee, instead of making the decision to say, no, boys box boys, girls box girls, the Olympics were set up over how many hundreds of years or how many years, maybe I'm off by hundreds, but
I think it was from like Greek times.
Division.
I think you're right. I think it's been around forever.
But there's always been a boys division, girls division. They never intertwined. And with the Olympic Committee, I forget the acronym I was trying to think of, but the Olympic Committee, they put it to every sport to make the decision. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, boxing said, no, it's okay. Right. Now, granted, for the listeners, there's going to be people saying, well, the boxer was female, this and that. Long story short, when they got their DNA tested, the DNA came back as a male. Mm-hmm. So right there, and everybody has to get that test right there. Uh-huh. You're in the male division.
And wasn't she denied entry into other boxing
I did hear that.
Competitions because of that? Because of this.
Yes, exactly. Uh-huh. So, and then you have potential for injury, which we saw, I don't know how long it lasted. I think it was less than 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. The other girl just gave up. Yeah. The girl gave up and left the ring. So that's not what the Olympics are about.
I agree.
100%. It's just, once again, just getting carried away with stuff. Back to the village, though. The beds. When I saw this one, so Joe and I think it was episode 4, we talked about seminary. We talked about the rough conditions, the no AC, how small the beds were, the stairs, all that stuff. They had cardboard beds.
Okay. I'm going to piggyback off of this. The amount of sweat that I produce doing anything, like anything, setting up for this podcast, yes. I lost 2 pounds.
Yes.
Of sweat.
Yes.
I have to bring a change of shirts and 2 hats.
This is basically a locker room. Yeah. After we set up, we have to get changed.
Absolutely. Yep. Now you're going to give me a cardboard bed with no air conditioning. I'm going to turn that cardboard bed into mushy, saturated, just wet cardboard. Yep. And it's just going to crumble underneath me. I'm going to end up laying on the floor.
Well, and that's the funny thing about it. Their claim is that the cardboard beds could hold up to 500 pounds, which at first I was like, oh, well, Paris's whole deal was we're going green. Mm-hmm. Well, going green doesn't mean be cheap on food, no AC, cardboard bed. Like, come on. There's a certain point in a certain place that you got to clean that up, do what's right for the athletes. To your point about the cardboard and sweating, what if you go to bed sweaty and sometimes you sweat it, especially with no AC.
Yep.
To your point, that cardboard is going to get a little unstable. It's not going to hold 500 pounds anymore. I guarantee that.
Not even close. You'd be lucky by the end of your time there, if it would hold me or there's no way. I'd be on the ground and I'd be like, yeah, I'm going to go find like a better place to sleep because sleep is so freaking important as an athlete. And for you to just
and that's the other thing too is a lot of Olympians left the village. Mm-hmm. So like I heard basketball teams left the village and people were just going out and getting hotels for their teams
or VRBO.
Or you do VRBO. But these teams were just like, no, we're athletes. We're preparing for one of the largest games in our career. We need to get good rest. Absolutely. And opted out. Like when have we ever heard of Olympians not staying in the Olympic Village? I mean, maybe it's happened. I never heard of it, let alone at these numbers. And then you get somebody. So we did watch a good amount of the gymnastics. Simone Biles, who's arguably one of the most popular, decorated Olympians of all times. Right. And she's being made fun of on social media because of her hair, the way it looks in competition. And she came out and said, there's no AC in our hotel. When I do my hair in the morning, I'm doing it as well as I can. And because of the humidity and this and that, her hair looked the way it did in the competition. Right. Are you kidding me that it's 2024 and you built essentially the worst Olympic village of all Olympics in 2024? Like, it just doesn't make sense that you're putting these athletes through these deals.
Cabin Coffee Altoona, located at 2922 Meadowlark Lane in Altoona, Wisconsin. Hey folks, we are a roastery. We buy our beans green from all over the world and roast right here on site. It's better than the stale, burnt, brown flavor water that you're used to. So stop on by. I think if you're going to actually host the Olympics, you have to have the financial means to be able to support that kind of crowd, those kind of athletes. And I understand it's expensive. I can only imagine the price tag on that.
I'll tell you what, irregardless if it's expensive, you have to do it. It's the Olympics. When you sign up for it, you say you're going to do whatever you have to do for your city.
Hey, Bill, I noticed you used the word irregardless. And that came up in a conversation here with one of our friends as this person was observing one of our conversations, and one of us said irregardless, and we were informed that it was not a word.
Correct. And we had doubts, but we have made mistakes.
It's not the first time. It's not the first time that I've ever, butchered the English language or said something, like.
But we felt confident, and we started using it a lot that night.
Yep.
And I decided to look it up, and it turns out it is a word.
Correct.
It may not be used as much today as it used to have been used, but it is a word. And along with our words, like I'll even throw myself under the bus. Something that my daughter gets on me a lot for is I mispronounce words a lot. So I'm from out east, northeastern Pennsylvania, Scranton, which we talked about probably in episode 1. But I say Scranton. Scranton is spelled Scranton. I know one individual. He goes by the nickname Boardback. He's also a realtor down in Florida. And he's the only one that I know that says Scranton.
Right.
Everybody else says Scranton. I say Scranton. Well, the one word that my daughter makes fun of me on is I say, if I'm going to pour iced tea, I say pour. When I talk about people that may not have as much money as somebody else, I say poor. And she rips on me saying, no, it's supposed to be pour. And I'm like, it's not the same word. You pour iced tea or lemonade, people that don't have money are poor.
Right.
It's just crazy words. But irregardless of that, irregardless is a word.
Yeah. Well, I think I have you beat. And we had like an hour conversation with my wife, me and you. And I'm sorry, like the word continues to baffle me. And this is a mental defect that I have that I'm never going to be able to get over. And it's so bad right now. I don't remember what the word is. Do you recall what the word is?
So the way I'll just phrase the scenario. So we were all having a conversation. You and your wife were having the conversation at the moment. And you said something, and I forget what you said, and your wife looked at you and said, is that a rhetorical question? And you go, yes.
Yes.
And I looked at you and I go, no, it's not. You want to know the answer.
Correct.
And you go, well, what does rhetorical mean? I go, rhetorical means you don't want to know the answer. You're asking a question that's assumed everybody knows the answer to. And then we had a long discussion about.
And here's my defense, and I think we should change this in the English dictionary. I want a retort, okay? I want a response to the question, or I'm not going to ask the question. And to this day now, every time this word comes up, I have to pause and think, and I'm like, is it a yes or a no? Because I'm never going to get over that.
It is complicated. Yeah, I agree.
But you understand where I'm coming from.
I do. I do. Like I knew, it's not, nobody ever really questions, is that a rhetorical question? I think, and when they are rhetorical, it just passes by, like goes in one ear out the other. You don't even realize it when somebody says something that you don't have to answer. But yeah, it was just very funny that night. Is that a rhetorical question?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I want a retort.
No, you don't want a retort. But his wife knew he might want the answer, and I'm like, no, it's not a rhetorical question. So that was funny, but that's a little bit of our mispronunciation and misunderstanding of words in the English language.
Yeah, I agree.
But we were linemen. We did get hit in the head a lot, so I think we get a little bit of a grace.
And from this point on in time, like I just won't answer the question because if I hear that word, that's like the Mr. Yuck sticker as a kid. I'm just going to back away. I don't want to.
Absolutely, you got to.
I have to.
You have to. All right. So another thing that blew my mind with the Olympics was contraceptives. So this article here, and I'm just going to read the title, and we could pretty much go to the next page. Paris 2024 Olympics. Cute mascot branded condoms bringing smiles to athletes. First off, I didn't even know that the Olympics hand out condoms. Secondly, we're making them cute, mascot branded, which is very weird. But the thing that threw me on the next page is how many they gave out. They want the athletes to be responsible, and they gave out 300,000 condoms to athletes. And that's double the amount they gave out in Tokyo 4 years ago. So I looked it up. Tokyo, they gave out 150,000 condoms. Paris, they gave out 300,000 condoms. And I think there's only 15,000 athletes at the Olympics. Just an enormous amount of condoms. Then you go back to think, maybe that's why the beds are cardboard. I don't know. Maybe that's why there's no AC. This Olympics and the stuff that came out, I think, was just mind blowing.
Well, you know how Paris is supposed to be super romantic.
I hear you.
Maybe they just thought you enter into that kind of atmosphere, and all of a sudden you're unable to control yourself,
and you get some of the best athletes in the world.
Yeah,
But then I go back and look at think about a Wisconsin. You have football, you have women's track, you have basketball, you have women's basketball, you have all those different male and female athletes. That was never brought up. But the Olympics were in Paris. Let's give out 300,000 condoms.
Yeah, I mean, work hard, play hard. I mean, is that the only thing I think of? And by the way, I've been to Paris. It's a tiny place. I don't fit it anywhere there.
Yeah.
Me and my wife got a hotel. I didn't fit in the shower. I physically,
I
was too tall, and my shoulders were too wide to even close the bloody door. So I had to soap up one side of my body, front and back, and do the rotate like a rotisserie chicken, and then do the other side. My wife thought it was the funniest thing in the world. I don't fit in chairs there. I don't fit in public transportation there. Guys our size, we don't fit in there.
That shower scene would have been great if it was captioned on closed caption to put it on our Facebook page. We go from the waist up, of course, but just to see the soap on one half, soap on the other half.
But so I guess I understand the tiny beds and the cardboard things, but that many condoms, man, I don't know.
It's just crazy. Irregardless of trying of trying to be safe and keep everybody safe, it's mind blowing that many condoms were handed out. It just if they told me one condom per person was handed out, it blows my mind that you're doing this at the Olympics.
Well, I mean, after you compete,
but see, where's the personal responsibility? You know what I mean? It's just that the Olympics are giving it out. Mm-hmm. That's what sort of surprised me. I never heard of a tournament giving out anything other than medals or awards or trophies, giving out condoms. I mean, imagine finding out at the Super Bowl that they give everybody on the both teams X number of packs of condoms because you're out there for a week.
Yeah.
I never, not saying you couldn't or you shouldn't, but I just never heard of it being done before. Then to hear of such a large number. I mean, imagine the person that works for the Olympics calling up one of the companies being like, yeah, we need some condoms sent out to Paris. How many do you need? 300,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's baffling.
I agree. It is. I mean, how do you have to perform still? I mean, on your respected skill set, how's that? On your respected craft.
I got you. I think the audience might have been thinking you were going a different direction.
I guess, if I've trained my entire life, the long hours, and, I don't have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a wife because I've dedicated my life to this sport, and now I compete earlier on in the Olympics, and I have 2 weeks to enjoy the Olympics, and maybe I'm going to enjoy all of it.
Just to me personally, I could see them giving out watches, toothbrushes, anything else that athletes with sunglasses, this, that, the other. It just surprised me.
Perhaps in Olympics past, because the lack of.
True. Maybe there's a lot of Olympic babies out there from 20 years ago, too. So maybe they found out hey, there was 15,000 athletes. Of that group, there's 3,000 kids running around today from that 2-week time period, 3 weeks, however long the Olympics is.
Maybe they're smarter than we think.
Very well possible.
I don't know. But with all that going on, I guess I probably would just save it as a memento. This is kind of cool. I put it
especially it's branded with the mascot.
I put it next to my medals. Here's my medals in my shadow box, and then here's my 14 condoms that they supplied to me.
You got a gold medal. You got the condoms right next to it. Your friends come over and there's.
Let me see your medal. Here, check this out first.
Well, I didn't. Then you get the Olympians. Well, I didn't get any medals, but I did walk away with these.
Absolutely.
They're a little bit smaller than medals, but.
But just as important.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. All right. Well, I think we are going to wrap this episode up. But stay tuned for the next couple episodes. We're going to be going over Badgers. We're going to be going over what's going on in college football. We're going to be going over Packers and what's going on around the NFL in upcoming episodes. So please stay tuned. Episodes will be continuing to drop on Tuesdays. As always, look us up on Facebook, on Twitter, on TikTok. on LinkedIn, pretty much all the social medias. We'll be advertising for the shows. Feel free to reach out with any questions. And anybody listening to the show, especially on Spotify, there are polls you could do after the Spotify episode. So feel free to do those polls and reach out to
I think we should do a poll. Is irregardless a word?
Oh.
And is it a word that you use
Yes.
in your common vernacular?
Yes.
Because
I think we stick with that question. Do you use the word irregardless? Yes or no? That's what we'll have for the questions.
I know for a fact I use the word.
And I know for a fact it's going to yes is going to win.
Okay.
People use the word irregardless. We know one person that's going to give us a no.
Good.
And you know what?
And that's fine.
We'll check that box for that one person, but everybody else is going to give a yes.
And I also wanted to, people keep asking, like, Cabin Coffee, we're a roastery. How do I get your beans? Okay. If you go on the Cabin Coffee website, you will see our bean blends, what we have to offer. It comes in 1/2 and 1 pound bags. There's an email address on the website. Email me your order and your phone number. I'll call you. I'll get your payment information, and we'll ship it out to you.
Now, what is the website so they get directly to the Altoona location, to you? Did I throw you for a loop? Is it the general Cabin Coffee website?
Yeah. Okay. Just Google Cabin Coffee Altoona, and it pops up.
I just want to make sure it went to the Altoona one. So
I think it's cabincoffeealtoona.com is what I believe it is.
But, otherwise, Google Cabin Coffee Altoona, and you'll find the email
and
address.
You'll find my email. You'll find the email address. Reach out. Yes.
And it is spreading. We got not we. Sometimes I like to partake a little because I did do pots and pans a little bit a couple days. I was vice president of pots and pans for like a weekend. But Joe's got coffee going out to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, coffee going out to Scranton, Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh in Spring Hill, Florida. There's been coffee going all over the country lately. So
and people keep asking about it. So here you go. Our menu is on the website. Check it out. Email's on there. Send me your order. Give me some contact information where I can get a hold of you, get your payment information, and we roast on site. I'll ship it out.
Absolutely. And they got many options to choose from. If you got any questions, which people have in the past, just let Joe know what you typically drink or what you like or which direction you're leaning into, and Joe could give you a great idea on which way to go. And it's so far, everybody I've been around, including myself, love the coffee. I haven't heard any negative things. And if you've ever drank coffee before, you've probably had it from one of the other locations, and you're going to realize how much better Cabin Coffee is than all those other locations.
And as a matter of fact, one of my customers I just mailed out to was a lifelong big box coffee drinker, and would live and die by it.
Yep.
And ordered some of my coffee, and now
can't believe it.
They're on a repeat every month. I just ship it out every month.
And that's another thing you're able to do for people out there, just so they're aware that you could get on that system where it's whether it's 1 pound, 2 pound, whatever you need per month, just get it where boom on a certain day, Joe's shipping it out, and you'll have Cabin Coffee whenever you need it.
Absolutely. So take advantage of that, folks. And we finally are, like I said, I'm talking about it now. And instead of just answering questions one-on-one, there's your answer.
Perfect.
All right.
Well, that's going to wrap up this episode. Stay tuned for next week's episode. And thank you to Pizza Del Rey, one of our sponsors, best pizza around at 911 North Hastings Way in Eau Claire.
And Cabin Coffee Altoona, where you will see me on a regular basis. I'm not just the face, the pretty face. I also am an operator.
He's a sexy big guy behind the counter with a beard.
That's right. Thanks for coming, folks.
Good seeing you.
Thank you for listening to Joe and I today. We hope you enjoyed your time with us. If you like what you heard, please give 217 South Mills a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. Go tell your friends about us. Like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, and YouTube.
I'd like to thank Cabin Coffee Altoona for sponsoring us. Everything is always better at the cabin. See you next time. And remember, folks, Red has to run.